We're here to sift through the information overload and pull out what really matters.
That's the plan.
And today, we are definitely ripping into a WNBA game that, well, it threw a curveball. The Indiana Fever beating the Seattle Storm 94-86, Tuesday, June 24th.
Yeah, a surprising result on the surface.
So our mission here is to unpack this. What does this single game tell us, not just about the Fever, about Caitlin Clark, but maybe something bigger about the WNBA right now?
Exactly. You might think you know the story. Clark's stats, maybe.
Right. But we think it gets way more interesting when you look a bit deeper.
It really does. Because this deep dive is about how a team grabs a big win, even when, their star player has what looks like a really rough night, statistically speaking.
Okay, let's unpack that part first. The Fever get the W. Fantastic for them. Needed that win right. Broke a losing streak.
Definitely needed it.
Yeah.
Especially on that West Coast trip.
But yeah, the headline grabber, Caitlin Clark's stats, 31 minutes played, 6 points, 9 assists, okay, but only 2 rebounds and 8 turnovers.
Oof. 8 turnovers.
And the shooting, 3 for 13 from the field. And maybe the biggest number, 0 for 6 from 3-point range.
Wow. 0 for 6.
So what's the historical context here? A line like that for her.
Well, this is where it gets really fascinating. According to the data we looked at, this is the very first time in Caitlin Clark's entire basketball career. And we're talking college and pro here.
Okay.
So 139 college games, 48 WNBA games now. Mm-hmm. First time ever she had more turnovers, the 8 than points, the 6.
Never happened before. That's actually incredible.
It really is. Speaks volumes about her usual consistency.
And that 0 for 6 from deep, you mentioned that. How rare is that? Also
very rare. It's only the third game in her WNBA career where she didn't hit a single 3.
Oh.
And she's been in a bit of a slump lately, but the sources mentioned she's only hit one of her last 23 threes over the past 3 games.
1 for 23, wow. Before this season, she'd only had 1 game total, college or pro, without a 3.
Exactly. So this stretch, it's definitely unusual territory for her shooting-wise.
So the big question then is, how does a player like that, known for scoring, known for range, navigate something like this? Mentally, strategically?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, even with the shooting struggles, look at the assists. 9 assists in this game.
Right. She's still facilitated.
Yeah, and her season average, 8.9 assists per game. That ties her for the league lead. So she's still finding ways to impact the game, clearly.
The turnovers are also league leading, right? 5.6 per game.
Also true. So it's this interesting balance, or maybe imbalance right now. Facilitating, yes, but also struggling with ball security and obviously the shot.
Okay, so that brings us to the really compelling part for me. How on earth did the Fever win this game? 94-86 against Seattle, a good team, 9-6 coming in on a win streak.
Yeah, Seattle's playing well.
And the Fever had just lost 2 straight on this trip. So how did they pull this off with Clark having, well, that kind of night?
Answer seems pretty clear. The rest of the team, it was an impressive collective effort, almost like they said, okay, we got this.
Let's talk specifics. Aaliyah Boston.
Aaliyah Boston. What a performance. Just standout, career high 31 points.
31 points on what kind of shooting?
Get this. 13 for 18 from the field. Super efficient. And 5 for 6 from the line. Plus 8 rebounds, 3 assists. Just an anchor.
13 for 18 is incredibly efficient.
Absolutely. And little milestone too. She got her 800th career rebound in that game. 9th fastest player in WNBA history to hit that mark.
So Boston was huge, but she wasn't alone, right?
Not at all. Kelsey Mitchell, she absolutely exploded.
Mitchell really stepped up. What were her numbers?
Season high, 26 points for her.
Yeah.
And crucially, 5 for 7 from 3-point range.
5 for 7 from 3. Now that's interesting because Mitchell herself had been struggling from deep this season, wasn't she?
That's right. Coming into the game, she was shooting like under 29% from 3. There's been some chatter, about a finger injury she picked up overseas.
Right. Playing in China. I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, though both she and the coach have publicly said it's not really affecting her shot now.
Okay. But still, going 5 for 7 after that kind of start to the season, that's a massive turnaround in one game.
Massive. It just shows you her capability, that she can still ignite the offense like that. And strategically, think about it.
Yeah.
If defenses are keying so heavily on Clark, maybe overloading on her, it just creates openings for players like Boston and Mitchell. Mm-hmm. And they took full advantage.
Makes sense. Any other key contributors?
Definitely. You had Lexi Hall stepping up, First career double-double for her, 15 points, 11 rebounds.
Wow, a double-double for Hall. That's big.
And Damiris Dantas chipped in 10 points off the bench too. So it wasn't just one or two players. It was really spread out.
So that collective effort, that allowed them to build a pretty big lead, right? Up by almost 20 at one point.
Yeah, they stretched it out to 19 in the fourth quarter. They really dominated that third quarter, outscored Seattle 30-19. That was probably the difference maker.
Okay, so team effort gets the win. But we can't really talk about this game or the Fever or the WNBA right now without talking more about Caitlin Clark's overall impact, even on a night like this.
Absolutely not. It's kind of the elephant in the room, or maybe the driving force is a better way to put it.
The Caitlin Clark effect. What's the real takeaway there beyond just the buzz?
Well, the buzz itself is significant, right? But look at the tangible effects. This game in Seattle, record-tying crowd, 18,343 people packed into Climate Pledge Arena. Local celebrities showing up.
That's huge attendance.
It is, and it's happening everywhere, the Fever play. But it goes deeper. Sources are saying the collective value of WNBA franchises, up nearly 200% since last season.
200%. That's astronomical growth.
It really is. And you see it in TV viewership, ratings, everything's climbing. It's fueling expansion. Golden State's already playing. Portland's coming in 2026.
So her presence, even on an off night statistically, is fundamentally changing the league's economics.
Precisely. It's lifting the entire tide, potentially leading to, better player contracts down the line, better facilities, more global reach. It's a fascinating case study in how one transcendent star can impact a whole ecosystem.
And what about Clark herself? She's talked about being a perfectionist, feeling frustrated when things aren't clicking. How does she seem to be handling this intense spotlight and, nights like Tuesday?
From what she said publicly, yeah, she admits the frustration. She's a competitor, a perfectionist, but she also talks about trying to find joy in just playing.
Right.
And contributing in other ways, like those 9 assists, right? Yeah. Focusing on setting up her teammates when her own shot isn't falling. She even made a point to praise Seattle's basketball culture and the fans there.
Show some maturity, right? To shift focus like that under pressure.
Definitely. It's part of the learning curve, adapting to the pro game, the physicality, the defensive attention.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what does this all mean going forward? The Fevers are 7-7 now, back at .500. They broke that losing streak. Feels like maybe a turning point.
It could be. This win, achieved this way, with the team stepping up while Clark struggled. That has to build confidence, right? It shows resilience, developing chemistry.
Yeah, that they don't have to rely solely on her scoring 30 every night.
Exactly. And that team depth might be even more crucial now, considering other roster situations.
Like what?
The situation with DeWanna Bonner. She's been away from the team for personal reasons. For a while now, missed 5 straight games.
Oh, right. Since mid-June?
Yeah, and the reporting suggests she's unlikely to return to the Fever. She was already having a tough season statistically, career lows in points and shooting percentage.
So another adjustment the team has to make, relying on that depth even more.
Precisely. It highlights how teams constantly have to adapt. Injuries, personal situations, the collective strength becomes paramount.
Okay, so looking immediately ahead for Indiana, they've got a couple more games coming up quick.
Yep, quick turnaround. They head home to play the LA Sparks on June 26th, then right back on the road to Dallas on the 27th.
Back to back, tough schedule.
And then, don't forget, that Commissioner's Cup championship game on July 1st against Minnesota. It's a big one, part of that in-season tournament.
Right, against the Lynx. So some big tests coming up to see if this team effort, this resilience is sustainable.
For sure.
So when we boil this deep dive down, it seems like a single game showed us a lot. A team winning when its biggest star struggles, showcasing that collective power. And it all happens against this backdrop of incredible league growth, largely fueled by that same star.
It really highlights a central tension, doesn't it? In a league that's increasingly star-driven, where individual players command so much attention, what's actually more vital for winning championships, for sustained success? Is it having that one player who's consistently brilliant night after night? Or is it the team's overall ability, that collective strength to win even when the star isn't shining quite as bright? What do you think is more critical in the long run?
That's a great question to ponder. And think about how that dynamic individual brilliance versus team synergy plays out everywhere, not just in sports, but in business and creative fields. Lots to chew on there.
Definitely.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.